What's going on, everyone? So the first season for the in-season tournament is here. First ever inaugural season. And you have the Milwaukee Bucks, the Boston Celtics, the Denver Nuggets, and then our Los Angeles Lakers as the top four favorites in this tournament. A little surprised the Lakers are first. We'll dive into that here in a moment. Also, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. But you look at all the brackets. Here are how they look for those that may not be familiar. You got in the Lakers bracket, we'll start with the West. Obviously, you got the Lakers, the Suns, the Grizzlies, the Blazers, and the Jazz. Again, we'll touch on the Lakers bracket and stuff like that here shortly. Then you got the Denver Nuggets, Los Angeles Clippers, New Orleans Pelicans, the Dallas Mavericks, and the Houston Rockets, which is a tough bracket. And then the Western C bracket also is pretty tough with the Sacramento Kings, the Golden State Warriors, Minnesota Timberwolves, Oklahoma City Thunder, and the San Antonio Spurs. Moving over to the East, you got the Sixers, the Cavs, the Hawks, the Pacers, and the Pistons, followed by the B with the Milwaukee Bucks, the New York Knicks, Miami Heat, Washington Wizards, and Hornets. And then finally, the Boston Celtics, Brooklyn Nets, Toronto Raptors, Chicago Bulls, and Orlando Magic. Again, Boston's got one of the easier groups. So, I mean, as far as the Celtics and Milwaukee being the top two teams, I mean, they are, by most accounts, the top two teams to even win the NBA championship. If you look at their brackets compared to some of the others, they do have an easier bracket. I think that that's also what is being factored in to as far as like the most likely outcome for a team to win. That's why like you saw the Phoenix Suns are like shortly behind the Lakers, because very likely they're looking at it as whichever one of those two teams come out of that in-season tournament, then they have a more likely scenario to end up winning the whole thing, or at least representing the Western side of things. And, you know, the Boston Celtics, they've looked like an elite team so far. They've looked how many people thought that they would. Milwaukee has really struggled. But, you know, if they figure it out, and the in-season tournament could be something that really helps in that regard. Also, a little surprised teams like, you know, the Clippers, especially with James Harden and all that hype. He's supposed to return for like the Knicks game on Monday. So, you would imagine that you have so many syndicates kind of like, oh, the Clippers, they're back. And like even ESPN like had them favorite to win the whole championship this year and all that stuff. I do think that there is also a lot of skepticism in regards to this working. But little surprised that they're not a little higher. Same thing with like, you know, like the Phoenix Suns, just because, you know, I'm sure that they're factoring in Bradley Beal being out, and they've kind of had their struggles. But regardless, not a huge surprise for me personally that the Clippers aren't one of the favorites. But, you know, I would think with the James Harden and all that hype that there might be a little bump at least in them, and maybe being in the top 5, top 6, but doesn't seem to be the case. And then, of course, the Denver Nuggets, I mean, the defending champions, they've looked great so far to start this season. They have a tougher bracket, though, right? So they got some tough games. And so, you know, I'm sure that that's part of the factor, but they're still up there as, you know, the third team and the favorite out the West, where the Lakers are second. So you got basically Denver and the Lakers, which is what I think it is for the NBA championship as well, as far as a representative for the NBA finals. But that's neither here nor there. Diving into the Lakers side of things, because that's why we're all here. So here's the in-season tournament schedule. Got the Phoenix Suns on November 10th. You got the Memphis Grizzlies, the Portland Trail Blazers, and the Utah Jazz. These are very important games because these games count not only to the in-season tournament, but they also count to the regular season. Phoenix is definitely going to be a tough game because you're at Phoenix, and then you're at Portland, and then your two home games are against the Memphis Grizzlies and the Utah Jazz. Basically, the way it works is each team plays their counterpart in the bracket, and then whoever has the best record between those teams end up advancing to the next round. So we will see. Lakers need to win all 4 of these games. 1, because I'd love to see the Lakers advance. And 2, we need these games to count for the regular season, right? So we need to start. I don't really care so much about the in-season tournament, you know, winning the NBA Cup. Like, cool, that would be nice, right? And I'll dive into that a little more here in a moment. But to me, it's championship or bust, right? If we don't win the inaugural in-season cup, right, I'm not going to be like, oh no, what are the Lakers doing? Like, that's not what's important to me. What's important to me is creating some space as far as, getting over 500, climbing up in that standings and winning some of these, especially these easier games with like the Memphis Grizzlies, the Portland Trailblazers, Utah Jazz. It is nice that they kind of have double significance now. Not only are these games in which you want to win regardless and just for the standings and just to get over 500, which or create some space over 500, but it's also for the in-season tournament. So there's a little more incentive to win those games. And then the Phoenix Suns game, that obviously is going to be a tough matchup, but I need to see the Lakers get that done. At the end of the day, look, the Lakers have the talent. The Lakers are going to be able to win most of these games. We are dealing with several injuries. Gabe Vincent's out for at least 2 weeks. Jared Vanderbilt's out for at least another week, which he could be back in time for that Suns game, which would be nice. That would be great. Taurean Prince, what happens with him? And then Rui Hachimura, what happens with him? So you're talking 4 of our key, 8 to 9 rotation guys. It's tough, right? Whenever that happens. So we need to get those guys back. But here's the thing, though, too. Teams like the Lakers, the Denver Nuggets, the Milwaukee Bucks, the Boston Celtics, like those teams, I don't really know if any of those teams win. Like, I think more likely than not, the team that wins this, like, in-season tournament is going to be, like, one of those, like, middle teams, right? Like, I could see, like, like a team that's still good enough to win, but, like, like, I don't think, like, the Spurs are going to win or something like that. But I could see, like, Philly coming out of the East, right? And being in that championship game. And a team like, like the Warriors or, maybe like the Pelicans or something like that winning that championship where they're probably not really winning an NBA championship. And this might have a little more incentive to them as opposed to, a team like Boston, Milwaukee, Lakers, Nuggets, where it's like, no, we want to win an NBA championship. I think that they'll kind of prioritize like the rest and stuff, right? Like, so for example, again, we have the 4 guys out: Gabe Vincent, Jared Vanderbilt, Taurean Prince, Rui Hachimura. If this was the playoffs, I'm sure all 4 of those guys would be playing right now. If they're still out with this injury and it's the in-season tournament, I don't believe that they're going to return for that. Like, if Gabe Vincent needs more time, Vando needs more time, etc., I don't think the Lakers look at this and go, man, we really need them so we can win this in-season tournament. I think the Lakers say, hey, continue rehabbing, continue, getting your rest, and get back when you can, right? And I think that's going to be the case for a lot of these, like the Phoenix Suns. If Bradley Beal is still not ready to go around the time you got the in-season tournament, I don't think they're going to be like, oh, we need to bring Bradley Beal back so that way we can go win this cup. I just don't see that happening. I see them looking at it as like, hey, if we win it, cool. If we don't, not a big deal. We're trying to win an NBA championship here. And that's what I think the big issue with this in-season tournament is like, I understand you want competitiveness, and I do think that there will be. I do think the ratings will be good. I do think that this will add a level of competition because these are all still professional athletes that are competitive, that want to win games, right? That want to show up and stuff. And I'm sure that there are some teams that would love to win this cup, but I just don't see teams treating this like the NBA playoffs and the NBA championship, at least for now. Maybe at some point we get there. Maybe at some point, this becomes a little more of an NBA championship type thing. Think of what is it, like the Premier League or whatever, where they have like their thing, right? Like that is like as big as anything else. But I think to me, this is more, at least momentarily, at least the first couple years, it'll be more of like we're not good enough to win the championship, but we're good enough to win the cup type thing. And you'll see these teams like I mentioned, like the Pelicans, the Timberwolves, the Warriors, those middle of the pack teams. And look, maybe adding the Warriors is the wrong team, but I don't really personally think that they're capable of winning an NBA championship. But as we see with the Warriors every year, they're like, Brady with the Patriots. Every year you think they're done and they're back. So I don't want to say that they can't win an NBA championship, but I think you get the point, right? I think it's going to be more so these middle of the pack teams that, are still very good, right? But they're not NBA, they're not a top 5 team in the league, right? That's what I mean by that. So I think personally, but one of those teams are going to end up being the teams that win this championship or win this mid-season tournament, right? Where the championship teams, they're the ones that are just they're not going to care. If they can win it, sure. If you don't think Denver wants to win this, if they can, right, and everyone's healthy and everyone's ready to go, especially because, again, the games mean something, right? Like, it counts towards the regular season. If this was, like, extra games, then I don't think any of those teams would care, and I think all those guys would just rest players. But the fact that these games do count for, your total win total, then yes, I do think that some of those teams are going to try to win those games. I just don't think that, again, it's going to be playoff level to where it's like, okay, Jokic is dealing with a nagging injury. He has to play. It's the playoffs. I think they'll look at it as like, hey, if this was just a normal regular season game, would we sit him? Yes. Okay, he needs to sit. I don't care about the cup. We're trying to win championships. Get my point? But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, so I pass the question on to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? What do you think of the Lakers? Do you think that they'll win it? Do you like that they're, the fourth best team to win it? However you feel, whatever your thoughts are. I'd love to hear it, so let me know down in the comments below. Don't forget to like the video. Helps me out a lot. Lets me know you enjoyed these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. And if you're not subscribed to the channel, hit that subscribe button, turn on the bell notifications, and I will see you all in the next one. Thank you.